Welcome. First Sunday in Advent. Came across this poem and I'm going to start with it. It's whimsical and lovely. God went to beauty school, Cynthia Ryland from 2003. He went there to learn how to give a good perm and ended up just crazy about nails. So he opened up his own shop, Nails by Jim, he called it. He was afraid to call it Nails by God. He was sure people would think he was being disrespectful and using his own name in vain and nobody would tip. He got into nails, of course, because he'd always loved hands. Hands were some of the best things he'd ever done, and this way he could just hold one in his and admire those delicate bones just above the knuckles, delicate as birds' wings. And after he'd done that a while, he could paint all the nails any colour he wanted, then say, "Beautiful," and mean it. Why'd I choose that poem? Oh, well, because it was fun and because sometimes some of these readings leading up to the end of the world and Advent and everything are quite challenging, and it's a challenging time in the world, so we need some fun poetry. Advent's about expectant waiting. And when we had scans for our babies, we never asked what sex they were. We're just happy to find out. These days it's a big thing having all those reveal parties. Expectant waiting. This is what Paul wrote to the church in Corinth. You don't lack any spiritual gift as you eagerly wait for our Lord Jesus Christ to be revealed. He'll also keep you firm to the end, so that you'll be blameless on the day of our Lord Jesus Christ. God is faithful, who has called you into fellowship with his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. 2,000 years ago, or just less than 2,000 years ago, maybe 30 years after the resurrection, the people at Corinth are excited to be Christian. It's all new, and they're expecting that Jesus will return anytime soon. We've got to get our lives together and do as much in the world as we can while we're waiting. And then our gospel lesson talks about being alert. You don't know when that time will come. I had once a sort of a girlfriend, and she asked me, "Michael, are you alert?" Maybe. Try to be. Good. The world needs more alerts. That relationship never went anywhere. What a surprise. We're discovering Jesus hasn't come back, not end of the world come back. So as Christians, we're here for the long haul. We're learning to go the distance for the whole day and beyond. And there's that delicate thing of holding the right mindset, not going too hard too quickly and burning out, but not just getting drudge the whole time with no fun, no joy and no delight. We're learning to go the whole distance and hang in there for the long haul. So what are we called to do as we wait? We're called to get on with being you. You know, you're unique. There is no one else in the world like you. No one with your life experience, no one with your life story, no one with your potential. And there's a space within the dance of the Trinity that only you can fill. And that dance isn't complete until you're there and reaching out and part of the motion and the dancing. So you get on with being you. And you're doing your work, whatever that might be, your calling or callings. So in your family, in your intimate relationships and connections, in your actual workplace, in your relaxing and interest groups, or your community groups, or the community service that you do. And then with extended family, with grandchildren, brothers or sisters at a distance, maybe older parents. You're doing your work, and in all that, you keep the faith. You hold on to Christ, you hold on to who you are as a dearly loved daughter and son of God. And that's what we're doing. Long haul, good work, keeping the faith. The last couple of Sundays we talked about Sister Lucy and from her book Inner Invitations. Just remembering that 2-minute pause to reconnect to something bigger and better than just me. So take a brief moment to be silent and still, to drop beneath that busy, crazy, rushing around, this is what I've done, this is what I've got to do, all the lists. Just simply asking, how am I? And listening spontaneously without filtering it out. And then holding that inner reality, just holding it gently and compassionately. And even the most difficult things, if we're somehow holding them a little bit gently and a little bit compassionately, already that's starting to allow possibilities. And once we're aware of that, then we're looking, how do I balance it out? Instead of being so excited about everything, how can I just make sure I'm not going to burn out too quickly? Or instead of getting sucked into that draining situation, seeing myself there, is there something I can do differently? I can choose to not engage with that. So it's about choices, and choosing life, and choosing faith, and choosing love. So that was Sister Lucy's little 2-minute pause. And I guess what really spoke to me is that seeking the balance and then being aware and choosing, rather I just get sucked into things, particularly emotionally or whatever. Choosing. Now, going to do a big jump to this hard waiting. Etty Hilsum, or Esther, a Dutch Jewish woman who had the unfortunate thing of living during the time of World War II and the Nazis. She ended up in a Dutch camp, and then she was taken to Auschwitz, where her life ended in 1944 or 1943. Not a Christian, but a deeply spiritual person, deeply God person. And this is how she's done faithful waiting. Little quote, sometimes the most important thing in a whole day is the rest we take between 2 deep breaths, or the turning inwards in prayer for 5 short minutes. So that being aware, reconnecting to that deep Godness at work in each one of us. Each of us must turn inward and destroy in himself all that he thinks he ought to destroy in others. And there's the words of Jesus about loving your enemy, seeking to do good to those who hate you. And there she is. She's put those words into her own way. And that's her own discovery or passion. Yeah, I can't be judging others. I can't take the speck out of other people's eyes or even the plank out of other people's eyes if I'm not working on that in my own eyes. So working on what's in my own heart. And finally, last quote. One thing's becoming increasingly clear to me, that you, God, cannot help us, that we must help you to help ourselves. And that's all we can manage these days, and also all that really matters, that we safeguard that little piece of you, God, in ourselves, and perhaps in others as well. I find it fascinating that both she and Lutheran pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer, when they're in prison, are talking about the helplessness and the sadness of God, grieving over all this stuff that's happening. And somehow we're called to comfort God and to protect that little piece of God in ourselves. So Advent. Getting ready for Christmas, getting ready for family things, getting ready for whatever. It's about hopeful, expectant, waiting. Not giving up faith, not giving up trust. When we're caught up getting just ultra tired or cynical or bitter or whatever, we're looking for that balancing work. Looking for that reconnection to the God of life and the God of freshness, the God of resurrection, the God of hope. It's faithful. So we're walking by faith, not by sight always. So it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always look like it's going to work out. But we keep on. We keep hold of Christ, Christ crucified, Christ resurrected, Christ at work in us. And we're waiting positively, helpfully, hopefully, and simply doing what we're called to do. May God bless you this Advent.